This video is about or concerned with the balancing feature of a standard centrifuge, commercially available centrifuge, versus a new device called Rotor-Mate that improves that balancing ability of the centrifuge. If we open the lid of the centrifuge, this particular model has a standard rotor. This rotor, when fully loaded, weighs about 3 pounds. And you'll see that this centrifuge has a mechanism built into it that allows the rotor to adjust to some extent to the imbalance of the centrifuge load. This particular centrifuge is capable of tolerating about 10 grams of out of balance mass. If we load this centrifuge rotor with this specimen tube, this is a 10 milliliter plastic tube. It has colored water. As you can see, it's quite full. If we load this into one of the positions on the rotor, this tube weighs about 20 grams. You'll quickly see that this centrifuge is not capable of tolerating this imbalance. If we try to run this centrifuge now with that imbalance set at 2600 RPM, you'll see that it attempts to bring and quickly goes out of balance and shuts itself off. It's simply too much mass for this particular mechanism, this automatic balancing mechanism, to tolerate. We will temporarily override or bypass the centrifuge normal lid interlock system just so you can see the violence which occurs with a rotor that's this badly out of balance. And the machine's interlock system and software shuts off the motor rotation. This is a view of the drive mechanism from the thermocentrifuge you just saw. It consists of a motor here, and then this mounting system, which basically uses rubber donuts. These mount hard to the chassis and are suspended, and the rest of the motor is suspended through this rubber piece and allows the entire motor and rotor to shift. This unit called Rotor-Mate is quite different in that the motor is mounted hard to this aluminum housing. The housing is mounted rigidly to the chassis, but the flexing of the rotor is allowed by means of the mechanism inside, and this allows for what we call mass centering. And you can see that the same rotor mounts on these two assemblies in exactly the same way, and we'll be showing that in just a second. For demonstrational purposes, we've now installed the Rotor-Mate gyro into the thermo instrument. Some self-balancing centrifuge rotor balancing systems, such as those that use ball bearings in a hollow tube, actually introduce imbalance when there is none. And we'll first show that this does not happen with the Rotor-Mate system. Next, we'll show that we can now operate quite smoothly with the same very full 10 ml specimen tube that formerly would not work in the standard thermo system. Next, we'll push the technology considerably by installing a second full 10 ml tube into the rotor. Operating this centrifuge with 3 or even 4 full specimen tubes would seem to be ludicrous, and in fact the machine does have difficulty transitioning from the center of geometry to the center of mass, but you'll see that once transition occurs, the operation is completely smooth. We extend now the technology really to a point of craziness by installing a 4th full 10 ml 20 gram tube in the rotor, and once again you'll see that once the center of mass is achieved, the operation is totally smooth. In spite of demonstrable rotor balancing advantages, Rotor-Mate technology would be of little commercial interest if it were complicated, expensive, or unreliable. This is a cross-sectional CAD view of the patented mechanism. Shown is a standard commercial drive motor, a housing which could be plastic for light-duty applications, a commercially available OEM flexible drive coupling, a metal support plate shown in orange here, 2 OEM Conrad ball bearings, and 2 plastic bearings supporting the rotor and providing frictional damping as needed. The center drive shaft serves multiple purposes. It transmits torque from the motor through the flexible coupling to the rotor mounted at the end of the shaft here. It is also a bolt threaded at this end. It holds the entire assembly together by means of a nut located here. Notably absent are springs, elastomers, sensors, or computer interfaces. It is strictly mechanical. Rotor-Mate technology is scalable up and down to accommodate all centrifuge rotor applications. Rotor-Mate technology is currently available for commercial license or IP sale. Contact and patent background information can be obtained at these sources. Thank you for viewing this video.